Hey all, and welcome back to Sonic Chronicles, the Dark Brotherhood. Oh no. Oh god, the flashbacks!
Yes, this is one of the most, let's say, memorable theme songs from this game, the Nocturn theme. This, if you can't make it out, which I can completely understand if you can't make it out, it's meant to be a remix of Big Arm from Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yeah.
It is... Just listen, you can hear it in the background here.
Oh god.
To make this more interesting, in the game data, there is actually a version of this with an extra, instrumental track with a drum track that really does not fit at all. So this version in the game is actually better than it could have been.
Wow.
If you can believe that.
But yeah, this is Nocturne itself, and horrible music aside, it is a pretty cool final dungeon of sorts, so we get really sick, red and blue Sonic and Knuckles Gizoids here.
I will say the setting for the finale of the game is really fucking cool. I do like the Nocturne area. Granted, there's a couple of bits that you might get a bit lost in, but other than that, just the look of the place is really cool. There's going to be some, character interactions and just, different battles and challenges here that I just think this game, it does cap itself off really well in the last chapter. Yeah. Except for, obviously, the final boss, which you mentioned, and we'll see, but,
Yeah, well, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. There's still the fucking ending. So, we'll get to that when we...
yes.
We'll get to that when we get to that. We have another typical JRPG, split the team up sort of thing, and we have Prefect Scylla and Prefect Charib. Obviously based on the sectors that we've seen so far, and also Scylla and Charybdis from Greek myth.
Indeed.
I will say the advantage here is that the breakup, in the teams, it didn't affect me quite as much as it did in Metropolis now that we're that bit stronger.
Yes.
But, you still do have to bear in mind that one of your teams won't have cream on it.
Yes.
That's kind of why I sort of stocked up on items before I came here, because you will want some PP restoratives as well as HP restoratives. So just before you come here, bear that in mind.
What level are your characters at right now? It says level 16 there. I keep forgetting, this and the Paper Mario series, you cap off kind of early, honestly. I think it's level 25 to 30 or so for the endgame.
Yeah, you really don't need to be that high level. This game, I've mentioned this a couple of times already, but it's scaled in a way that you'll never need to grind much at all, and it actively discourages you from grinding.
Yeah, I think the only thing that frustrates me with that is whenever you do have a game where you end up being a relatively low level by the time you get to the end game, it doesn't necessarily feel like you've come that far in terms of your level. So if you look at, say, the Kingdom Hearts franchise, generally you end up being around sort of level 40-ish by the time you hit the end game, unless you're talking about Kingdom Hearts 2, in which case you're probably closer to about 50. And because obviously it's a longer game anyway, but generally it feels like you are much more successful, I suppose, because you do have a lot more time to grow over the course of the game, whereas here, when you get to level 20 or whatever, and you're just that's not really a very high number at all. I'm a little bit disappointed.
To be fair, I think that is just slightly psychological thing of it's cool to see the number go up, because as long as it's scaled in a way that you're at the right level, you're not either completely annihilating anything or underpowered. It's not really a problem in any way, but I do like seeing that number go up.
Don't we all,
exactly.
Don't we all? That's one of the reasons RPGs are so satisfying and whatnot, but yeah, the blue Gizoid is being a bit of a prick right now. I think they're both fairly spiteful and whatnot, but this guy, he's actively taunting you, which is nice for a villain, because it makes me hate them, and makes me want to destroy them all the more. But I don't think taking him down is going to be as easy as we might think. It might be a he, it might be a she, I actually don't know. It's a robot at the end of the day, so it don't really matter.
Well, exactly, it's a robot, it does not have a gender.
Well, given they do all tend to have, characterization with, gender traits, you can't really just write it off as it's just a robot, but
I mean, look at Omega, for example. Everyone refers to him as a he.
Well, yes, but also Omega is a robot. I mean, basically, I will just point you towards Janet from The Good Place, because Janet is not a human being. Everyone calls Janet she because it's Janet, but Janet is not a person, and therefore Janet is not a she.
Okay.
Didn't realise we were going to get so deep here on the Sonic Chronicles playthrough, but which team would you say you were more comfortable with, mate? Is it this one or Team Echidna?
Right now, I would say I like having Sonic and Shadow on the party, so this one is like my comfort team, and that's balanced out here in the fact that I put Cream on the other one, so I can, you know, still have my safety net and spam the power moves with the other team, so I'm at least sort of comfortable with both of them, but like, given my entire strategy through the whole game up to this point has been spam Axe Kick, spam Chaos Spear, you know, like, this is my go-to team.
Like, you have, like, fastball right there, and you're taunting me because it's so cool.
I will use the Sonic and Amy power in a later part, I remember that.
Oh, thank you, Flame, that's all I'm asking, mate.
At least that's something.
And that will forgive me for all of my sins in this playthrough.
Well, since we're just battling mooks and whatnot here, Richie, let's cast your mind back, if you will, to final RPG dungeons of other RPGs that you played over the years. What were some of your favourites? What were some of your least favourites?
Favourites, I mean, obviously, World Never Was is a highlight. That is a brilliant sort of final area.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yes, oh god. This is one of those things where I'm just like, you put me on the spot, I'm just like, oh shit. I flop between liking it and not liking it at Victory Road, depending on the Victory Road in the Pokemon games. Some are better than others.
Yes.
Trying to think about other final areas. I mean, I sort of like the final area in Eternal Sonata. It's sort of like a tower, but it can get a little bit dull because it is literally just a tower and you're going to 4 different points on it to beat up bosses and stuff. I suppose I do quite like the whatever the ice dungeon is in Okami, because even though it's not the final area, it's still the final dungeon, and obviously gets you to use all of your different brush techniques. So that's quite cool.
That one was pretty fun to go through, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there are any others. I'm a bit stumped. Flame, you go.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Oh fuck, I was hoping you'd give me more time to stall, but yeah, like, I'll say, to me, there's kind of the 2 factors that can make them appealing, and that's like both the aesthetic design and also the gameplay, and I find that quite often final dungeons tend to lean one or the other.
Yeah.
Because like one that sticks out to me as a memorable one in terms of its look is Citadel Isle from Pokemon XD, because it's got that really fucking cool lava area.
Oh yes.
Although that's let down by the fact that there are loads of enemy like bosses there, and all of them have multiple shadow Pokemon that take for fucking ever to snag. So it's a grind to get through, but it looks nice. And there's other sort of things, like I can remember one in particular from Final Fantasy 15 that's one of the weakest parts of the game.
Oh yes.
That section where you've got Noctis alone and you've just got to use the ring power, and it's like, it's cool in concept, and I like that there's a few horror elements of it, like you got the scares and you got the dark areas, but it really does outstay its welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's one of the things with Final Fantasy 15. It's a little bit lopsided in terms of what it does, and I think they probably need a little bit more time.
Well, they had like 3 fucking years to fix it.
But I think they need a little bit more time to figure out exactly what they should be doing with that narrative to make it so that those bits didn't outstay their welcome, because yeah, they did. I think from what I can gather, the game has gotten slightly better with the updates and like the Royal Edition and stuff, but I don't think it's still quite there.
That's the version I played. I played the PC one, which was like everything combined, like all the patches, all the DLC and whatnot. And even then, like, what it does do is it does have like an alternate path you can take during Chapter 13. but that has the kind of downside of it's too easy for a late game dungeon.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a glorified demo for Episode Gladiolus. That's what it's doing. It is the Episode Gladiolus gameplay, and just in an easier form. And so it's either you can have the drawn out Noctis section or the really easy Gladiolus section. And the Noctis section in the current version is a lot easier than the original release because they made the ring more powerful, but still playing through it on that is still really outstayed its welcome.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
I kind of feel left out here because I have FF15, it's still in its wrapping, and so is Xenoblade Chronicles X, but that's an entirely different story. I would say, for me, I agree with Flame, most final dungeons in a JRPG either have great aesthetics or great balanced gameplay with a really fun final boss, but oftentimes the two just do not gel. I would say, for me, one of those where it does kind of go hand in hand, great aesthetics and great gameplay, would be the final dungeon of Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, the Palace of Shadows, or whatever it's called, because you've built up to it the entire game, you've been collecting stuff to open the titular Thousand Year Door, and the place inside is regal and foreboding at the same time, and there's a really great boss at the end where, everyone's coming together to finally take down this great evil and whatnot, and it's been prophesized throughout the whole game, and it just has a really great payoff. And I would say, I would also say some of the victory roads are worse than others. I'm trying to think of one I just didn't care for at all, and I'm going to assume it's probably in Gen 4, because I don't remember that victory road at all.
I would say my least favourite is probably I think it's the black and white victory road.
Oh, that's a really short one, but honestly I kind of was okay with that being shorter.
Yeah, I think it's only because that's the one with the sort of the multi-layers where you got to sort of slide down and walk up and stuff, and it was just sort of very back to front, more so than any of the other victory roads that you faced, really. Can't really point towards one where I'm just yes, that is the victory road I want, but hey.
The Gen 6 one was pretty cool because it had both inside and outside sections, and so there was the cave sections, which are pretty standard victory road fare, but then there's also outside sections with different stone areas that are something different to look at, and it just kind of freshens it up. Even if that victory road does take longer than a lot of the others, it just kind of doesn't feel it as much because it keeps the pace up.
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys have dungeons, final dungeons and JRPGs that you like or dislike, let us know in the comments, I guess, because that will help push the reach of the video up, and I just like lists and whatnot. So very interesting bit of dialogue back there. Knuckles actually wants to beat Sonic 2X, so he has a chance of talking with him, because, Knuckles has been alone for his entire life, and I guess he doesn't want to take out any echidnas if he doesn't have to, despite the fact he's been punching people who are echidnas in the face over and over since the game started, and hasn't really commented on it.
Well, I think it's also probably a case of him wanting answers as well, because obviously he's just had this whole other echidna species thrown in his face out of nowhere. He's kind of gonna want to know more about where all this came from, and seeing X's perspective of it, even if he doesn't like the guy, is gonna give him a bit more insight as well.
Does he think he's gonna have whereabouts of Knuckles' own tribe or something? Because that's the vibe I got.
Possibly, yeah. Just because Knuckles probably doesn't know much about himself, because he's been on his own playing cards with the Master Emerald alone for years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
God, that sound effect never gets old.
I was gonna fucking say, yeah, especially when it's on this particular thing, given this has got a bit of silence at the start, the first fucking thing you hear as you come out the door is just loud vomit sound.
Yeah, so am I to assume with all the lasers flying about here and further that's the Zoa running interference?
Possibly, yeah. Although some of them are attacking us as well, and that's kind of why Knuckles' team is stuck and they're waiting for us to flip these switches.
There we go, there's one.
It's hard to take us seriously when we've got this music there going, though, I will say.
Da, 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 da. Okay, that just made that thing get sad and shut down.
Oh, they hit the switch. Guess I better stop.
We can head on over there now. Everyone hold on. Man, it's a good job Knuckles did not skip Gaines Day.
Yeah, it's a good job he has them dreadlocks that help him fly somehow.
Of course. Right.
I never understood how he's able to glide, but it doesn't really matter, honestly.
Yeah, it really does not, because I think if any of us sat down and tried to figure out exactly how it works, I think we would all kind of explode. I mean, really, the only character in the entirety of the Sonic universe that really makes any sense in their ability to fly is Ray the Flying Squirrel.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because like Tails is the one that really fucks with me, just because of how those tails would cross over after the first fucking spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he's got some major deformity there and it like detaches itself from his arse when he's flying or something, I don't fucking know.
Interesting stuff, Flame.
This is all I can bring to the table. We're in the final fucking dungeon. What else you want?
Well, how have you felt about your recording process for Sonic Chronicles, mate? Did it match up with your initial gameplay? Did you find it easier? Did you find it harder? How did you feel?
There really wasn't that much that was too difficult to get down for the most part. Like, I was obviously doing practice runs as I went along, and then I'd just reload the save and record it for real, so I knew what was coming every time, and I was prepped for the most part, aside from a few stupid mistakes we've seen here and there. But, you know, like, this game, I feel like it's got the right kind of difficulty balance outside of the sections we've drawn attention to, because like the ones where you can get yourself in a lock, that is unforgivable for a game. That I'm not going to try and defend that, as much as I will say I enjoyed this game more than a lot of people do. From a game design perspective, that is something that you can't look past. But outside of that, I did really enjoy my time with this game compared to what I was expecting.
Okay.
I know we talked about this briefly earlier as well, but I feel like that possibly was influenced by the fact that I had it presented to me as the worst thing ever, and then it's like, it's an okay RPG, it does the job. I had fun for what it was.
Well, I mean, doing this playthrough has helped me to appreciate some of the better parts of it. Like, some tracks are pretty good in the OST. Some fights are pretty interesting and whatnot. There is a lot of, like, cool team attacks you can do. Flame's not showing them off, but I know from it, that wasn't a sly, I'm just stating a fact here. I know from my own gameplay experience that there are some really cool moves, team-wise, you can do. It's just like, if you don't have cream and you don't have that chow, it becomes a lot harder, just in terms of, like, managing stuff and whatnot, because, like, you can die before using an item. It's not instantaneous, so that just adds another level of tedium. It's not a very refined battle system, but it can be fun once you get it down pat.
Yeah, I think I started enjoying this more once I mastered the timing of the QTEs, because before that it was a little bit infuriating, but, you know, that was a case of, like, I had to come to realise that I'm meant to be meeting the QTE, not beating the QTE, which is not entirely clear when they're, like, the circles kind of homing in on the centre, compared to, like, say, a press X now kind of thing that you get in more traditional QTE setups.
Where's he running to exactly? This is his Citadel.
And the fact that if you looked on the overworld, we're at a tiny little section from what I recall. Like, let's just run into the wall. Fuck it, why not? We're safer now.
Give him a few uppercuts, a blade rush. What else we got? Another blade rush. Sure, why not?
And a battering ram of Big.
Yeah, Big's battering ram is really useful when you're on the offensive with him.
Whee! Refresh.
This is another thing, this refresh ability, that I'm not sure whether this is genuine praise I can give for the game because that helped me with it so much, because I feel like if I didn't have that broken chow, I wouldn't enjoy this game as much as I do. But in order to enjoy the game, I have had to use a broken oversight in the game design. So I don't know whether me saying this is a genuine compliment, whether it comes across as backhanded, or whether it is just they accidentally made it better, you know?
I think it's genuine with a caveat.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I mean, to be honest, I would say that it is more of a backhanded compliment than anything, because it's saying that you had fun with the game, which is the compliment, but the backhanded bit is that you had to use essentially an exploit within the game in order to enjoy it, which just suggests that the whole thing was kind of slightly quite poorly designed in the grand scheme of things. I think that might have been part of why I just found the battle system as tedious as I did, because I don't think I ever had that chow.
I suppose it is one of the things that it's always going to be a weird situation when you find a broken feature that does improve the game for you, because it's a similar sort of thing where like it makes Silver's gameplay in 06 a lot easier once you realise that instead of just holding the button down to hover, you can skip sections by just mashing it and you get a lot further on his flight, and I found that made his levels a lot less frustrating.
I honestly feel that Silver's gameplay is the best part of 06 because
I disagree.
It has meaning, it is planned out well, and apart from like the billiard puzzle in Dusty Desert, it's fun. Like, Sonic's physics just make the Sonic gameplay more annoying than anything.
See, I got used to Sonic's physics pretty quickly, whereas Silver, for me, my biggest hang-up is just his running speed. Like, he is so painfully slow, and, you know, it drags the fun out of what should be fun, and yeah, that was a mandatory loss. See, I didn't fuck up there.
Cool. I was wondering why it cut to black. I was like, oh shit, is my computer acting up? Goddamn, not again.
To be honest, I did have a moment of just going, he's not going to die here, is he? He wouldn't have let that in, surely.
I mean, it did make me paranoid watching it back, but you know.
Smash cut to Knuckles just being punched in the face by a Gizoid Centurion.
Yeah.
Exactly the same model-wise, by the way. They just have that little glowy force field around them. I was expecting some really, like, buff, chunky Gizoids to come at us, but no, I guess not.
Well, no, that would require too much effort in terms of they'd have to redesign all of the Gizoids to make a chunkier one.
He's T-posing!
Yes! Well, he's asserting his dominance while in a state of, like, station, you know? Yeah, we're gonna have to go and find all the Gizoids around, so that's pretty much what our next fetch quest with Sonic's team is.
Well, gotta bulk out the gameplay, I suppose. X is in the, you know, innermost chambers of the Nocturn, so we weren't ever gonna get to him in, like, a single part.
Well, it's not really bulking out, is it, given this is, like, the final showdown and we've got all our characters working together, playing their own respective parts in this.
Yeah, and I will say I like how you could have seen these guys before you were given this task, so it's like, oh, I remember there was some inactive Gizoids around here, so I'll go find them.
Yeah, it makes it less of a wander around aimlessly to find the things and more of like a, oh yeah, I know I've got to go here now thing, which makes this more of like feeling like you're completing a mission than just wandering. Because I will say that has always been one of my pet hates in games, like, and sometimes it is my fault with certain games, I will admit, but like I was bitching with the Sirens quest in God of War earlier, I don't like just wandering aimlessly or having very, like, unclear hints as to where to go, because that's worse than struggling with, like, a tough boss or something in terms of frustration, because at least then I have a goal. Whereas when it's just, this thing, it's somewhere, go find it, good luck, that's annoying.
I partially agree, but I think that's just your impatience talking, for the most part, Flame.
Well, yeah, I am an impatient fuck. Look at the games I like playing. I like games where I hold X to win, you know?
True, very true, man, very true.
Yeah.
I will be first to admit I'm a fucking casual, but, like, you know, that's me.
Alright, so I guess this turns off the Gizoid Centurion's shields?
Yes.
We had a white flash on screen, so it did something important.
I guess they had to turn up the opacity, so it must mean something.
Well, yeah, basically what it was that they used some sort of sound frequency and blasted that over the radio, and that broke the shields effectively somehow.
Oh yeah, that's the Knuckles I know and love.
Yeah, Knuckles is gonna go straight in because he wants to like get a bit of revenge, and You do carry over from the state you were in last time, that's why my characters have no health. So yeah, now I can actually fight these fuckers for real.
That's a little bit, but I shall live. We'll just need a quick refresh and we'll be fine. I'll just use a meta mirror or two. But this is the best, like, incarnation of Knuckles in a while. Because he has his moments of, like, being dense, but he's still, like, very headstrong, loyal to, you know, the people he trusts and whatnot. And he still has that good-hearted naivete to him while still being a champion, you know?
Well, it tends to be with how much they use Knuckles in a certain game, I kind of feel, like, at least for the main series game, discounting Boom and whatnot, because, like, Knuckles, I feel it does a disservice to him when he gets, like, palmed off as a supplementary character. He's at his best when he gets to lead something like he's doing here, because he is a well-developed character, he has a likeable personality, and so when they use him and when they properly explore him rather than just have like, oh, he's a stupid guy who hangs around with Sonic, you know, like, that's him at his best, really.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect, like, kind-hearted, sometimes goofy Knuckles, but mostly serious to come back anytime soon, because as we have established, Sonic Team isn't really interested in having serious tones in their games anymore. And,
yeah.
You know, whatever works, I'm 100% behind their decision to do this, but, you know, for me, I prefer, like, the Sonic Heroes tone, as it were, or, like, the Sonic Adventure tone, really.
I'd say more Adventure than Heroes, because Heroes just felt a little bit bland on everyone's part for me.
Yeah.
Adventure 1 more so than Adventure 2, I think, in terms of tone.
Yeah, I'd just go in and say Unleashed tone and I'd be happy, but there we go.
Indeed. Alright guys, we'll see you next time when we continue travelling through the Nocturn. See you then.